What's up guys, TSJAwesome 628 here, back again with another F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, this time for episode 11 of the Austrian Grand Prix. We're just going to sort out our activity timeline here, and we're going to do our chassis team buildings. We only had 2 days in between the weekends, and we will head to the Austrian Grand Prix. Doesn't look like there's going to be a threat of rain at all this weekend. So see by the weather forecast, it's completely dry. But our upgrades aren't coming in as quick as they were earlier in the season. And you can see that we just haven't really bought many. We're still only 5th in the powertrain department, but we're going to put engine power upgrade on to try and boost that and try and battle Haas and Alfa Romeo and Ferrari in terms of their power that they have. So that should be on the car just in time for the Belgian Grand Prix, so sometime in the summer break. But now let's head on to qualifying, and I'm just gonna, because this is such a short lap, I'm gonna show the whole lap. Usually I would just cut to the end, but well, at least for this session, I think I'll do it in Q3 as well. But this was my only lap of the session, as is now expected, I would say. Now, get to a point where I'm expected to get through to Q2. So Max Verstappen sets a 103.594, and that's what we're going to be aiming to be near to guarantee safety. Hamilton with a 103.278, and this car was decent around here. Because obviously around Austria you want as much power as possible, as much straight line speed. Obviously you don't want to compromise downforce through the high speed corners, so it's really hard to find a good setup around here. But we just set a 103.7, so just behind Verstappen and just ahead of Albon at the time being. And as we fast forward to the end of the session, we end up in P6. Jack Aitken also makes it through, but as also does Romain Grosjean, who in the Haas car, they rarely make it out of Q1. Both Williams were again knocked out. Kevin Magnussen was knocked out in the other Haas. Both Alpha Tauris were knocked out, and Carlos Sainz in the McLaren was probably the big shock, because Grosjean pipped him by 2 thousandths of a second. You see Norris is up in P10, about 6 tenths quicker than Carlos Sainz in that session, so I don't know what happened there to the Spaniards. So we head on to onto qualifying 2. Don't know why I said round 2, but we're not going to show the entirety of this lap. I'm just going to probably cut to the end of it, because well, I don't want this video to be forever, and we do cut towards the end of it. And well, we do set a 103.4 this time, which was a quicker lap than we set in Q1, but it was behind Albon this time, who must have also improved, and at the end of the session it was P7, which I'll take best. The rest were actually only 3 tenths off some of the others. Jack Aitken got knocked out on P15, so unlucky for him, as did both Alfa Romeo's Lando Norris, Esteban Ocon and Romain Grosjean. So as per usual, it's Ricciardo, the 2 racing points, myself, the Ferraris, Mercedes and Red Bulls in Q3. Again, I think I'm going to leave this lap on, so I'll leave you guys with it and I'll come back when it's finished. So that was one of our laps around Austria, which ended up putting us in P3 at the time, but obviously as we head later in the session it put us down to P6, and this time we're going on to our final lap here. And the reason I didn't choose this lap is because there's something I want to commentate over this lap, even though this was a quicker lap overall. So we are roughly equal with our time, and as we edge closer to the final sector, you'll see we come through. We're about a tenth up, so really not much gains. As you see, as we come out the final corner, I don't activate my DRS straight away, and you'll see now that probably cost me a few hundredths, maybe a hundredth, 200ths in terms of time.
Complete. Let's review our top three today: Hamilton, Albon, and Valtteri Bottas. Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix.
So as you can see, we missed out on P6 by 2 thousandths to Max Verstappen, which I'm definitely a bit gutted about. We definitely could have got that. We outqualified both racing points and our rival Daniel Ricciardo, so that is good news. Hamilton starts from pole and Albon manages to split the two Mercedes, so very good job by him. I don't know how he managed to do that. I think it was probably a very good lap by him. I just had a great car. You know, the car's already up there. Well, they definitely worked hard. You see Ricciardo got in the top 10, Ocon just out of the top 10, and I think they did reasonably well compared to where their car is.
It's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, just edging out Alexander Albon, who'll start from P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Bottas, Leclerc, Sebastian Vettel, and Verstappen, Thomas, Perez, Stroll, and Daniel Ricciardo, Raikkonen, Norris, Antonio Giovinazzi, and Ocon, Grosjean, Sainz, Daniel Kvyat, and Kevin Magnussen. Aitken, Russell, Latifi, and Pierre Gasly picks up the final grid slot today.
So this will be the race strategy for the race, as we're going to probably go for the soft, medium, soft, because I don't really fancy going for the soft, hard one stop. And if you saw in the grid sequence, Aitken has a 5-place grid penalty, so that's quite unlucky for him. Probably because I literally haven't done a durability upgrade yet this year, because I'm all about raw performance of the car. But we're on the grid now. 5 red lights, it's lights out and away we go. And not a great start, but we don't lose position, we stay exactly where we are. So we head into turn 1. They're going 3 wide ahead between Vettel, Leclerc and Verstappen, and we try and seize our opportunity. As we run down to hill, we're going to be battling Verstappen and Leclerc into here. And Leclerc sort of gets boxed in by Verstappen, and we try and go around the outside. But then Verstappen on the exit leaves us space, gets a worse exit, and we also get past him. So it was a very good couple of corners after a not so great initial launch off the lights. But I can already tell that we don't have a massive amount of pace around here, not like Canada. And we are roughly where we should be this race. And Verstappen on lap 2 just breezes back past us, and we don't really have the pace to keep up with the top 6. And Leclerc on the following lap is going to try and get past us. So we try and defend the inside, but he still forces his nose in there, so we just have to let him go. And on the exit we get a decent run though, but we'll see whether it can amount to anything. As we pull to the outside, and we hope to repass Charles Leclerc here, and looks like we're going to be able to do it slightly, but he just gets so slightly better acceleration in the end, and manages to get back past us, so we're down back to P7 and where we started on the grid. And on the end of lap 3, we're still trying to get past Leclerc again. We want to re-overtake him, but we didn't have the greatest run through turn 1, and I think Perez is closer to us than we are to Charles Leclerc. But the power of the DRS is just evident around Austria. You can easily stay in a good position if you have someone's DRS, and we're going to get another good run on Leclerc here. And I think this time we're going to try and go down the inside, and we make a slight bit of contact, and that was kind of my fault. I did kind of push him wide. I didn't realise whether he was going to go left or right, and well, the game would have probably given me an illegal overtake for that if it was real life. But we get away with the position, and we're now coming to the end of lap 4, which we're already on near Alex Albon, who obviously started in P2, so he doesn't seem to have the same race pace as he does qualifying pace. As we come to the end of lap 5, we're managing the gap to Alex Albon, not really losing any, but Leclerc is right on the back of us again, and he is going to try and re-overtake us in lap 6. Obviously another issue for us is because Perez is so close, our 2-stop may be a slight issue, and we may end up not having great time. We get our first track extend warning, so we run wide at the final corner at the end of lap 6, and Leclerc's trying to pull away from us now, but we're just going to try and stick in his DRS, but at the end of the lap we can't even do that, and Perez is going to try and go from the last. We're going to defend against that into swooping right-hander, and we're going to come to the end of lap 7, and we've broken out of Perez's DRS, as well as not being outside of Leclerc's DRS, but in this stage of the race Perez was quicker than me, and I was slower than Leclerc and the cars ahead. Raikkonen also was doing pretty well. He managed to get up to P9 ahead of Lance Stroll and ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. But we are going to be coming in at the end of this lap 10, because, well, we want to do the 2-stop. Well, we don't want to do the 2-stop, but I know that our tyre wear is bad, and we could try the 1-stop, but around Austria, occasionally you can do this. You can most likely do the soft and medium strategy, and that's why the 1-stop is good. But our tyre, Jeff didn't even offer that strategy to us, which shows how bad our tyre wear was, so we're going to have to do a 2-stop with soft, medium, soft. We're going to come out just behind the 2 Williams cars, so we're going to hope to get past them shortly, and well, we head into the braking zone and we're already on the back of George Russell, and we get a better exit. We're just so much quicker than these cars, and we're going to pull to the inside, and we're going to take P21 in this race. Also, if you see our ERS, it's displayed in white text rather than yellow, which it would usually be, and that's because of the worn components that we're running. And as we head into turn 1, we overtake Latifi, and he's spun. And I can tell you, we did not make contact with him. George Russell, who was just behind me, also tried to go around the outside of Latifi, and the Williams collided at turn 1. Anyway, we head to the end of lap 12. Jack Aitken and Daniel Ricciardo both come into the pits. Jack Aitken seems still to be a bit far behind, but as we head to the end of lap 13, Gasly comes in the pits, and we have to take some avoiding action, and that was very close to having our race ended. The pit lane at Austria, I really don't like the fact that you have to slow down, and then the cars that are supposed to be coming on the racing line can really get hindered. At the end of lap 14, Leclerc's been really held up by Danny Kvyat here, and it's going to go for a move here. And we're also going to try and go around the outside. And we're up to P11 now, but we're already caught up back to Charles Leclerc. And as we head to lap 16, we are trying to get past Leclerc, but Albon has come out into the pits doing the soft and medium strategy that I was saying about on the one stop, as I think Perez is doing as well, that's in our race, and Albon's come out behind us. So we want to try and stay ahead of him because we don't want to have to try and make an entire pit stop on him to finish ahead. And there's a yellow flag, and I forgot to show the notification, so I'm just going to show us passing Charles Leclerc and also passing Lando Norris, who was parked on the right hand side in the McLaren, so some sort of issue for him. So anyway, Lando Norris is out of the Grand Prix, and basically until I pitted on lap 26, I think it was, I pitted, or lap 25, I basically did nothing. As you see, we're just going to cut to the end of each lap, just cut to the main straight, showing the gap to Leclerc and Albon, which keeps swapping positions, but nothing really happens, so, well, I don't really have much to commentate on. And the gap was just remaining at 1 point something seconds at Leclerc, who didn't quite have the pace, but finally we head on to lap 25, which is the lap we are coming into the pits for our final pit stop, onto a set of the soft tyres for the final 11 laps of the Grand Prix. And we'll see where we come out, because I think we're going to have to work for the points here like we did in France, where we had to push to get past Stroll and Giovinazzi to get those points. And yeah, I'm indeed correct, as we come out in P12 for the Grand Prix. And Ricciardo and Giovinazzi are immediately ahead of us, and I think we should definitely be able to get them. And we set a purple final sector as we head on to lap 27. And well, Ricciardo and Giovinazzi we're in their DRS, and it looks like Ricciardo's going to try and go for a move on Giovinazzi here. So we're going to try and go round the outside of both of them. So there's a bit of contact on corner entry because we're trying to go through wide, but we managed to get past both of them, and we'll also set a purple sector 1 in the meantime. As we head further on into the lap, we keep the position into that corner, and oh no, I'm gonna leave it on board. Usually I'll cut to the end of that. I'm gonna leave it on board because this was my fastest lap of the race, so you guys can see what it is and how quick we were. So it is going to be a 105.792, which was the fastest lap of the race, and at the end of lap 28 we catch up to Kimi Räikkönen, and this is for P9 and for what would be 3 points if we were to remain, because 1 point for the fastest lap and then 2 for P9. Kimi Räikkönen tries to go defensive on us, but we're just going to try and go around the outside, and we're going to take P9. We've got Lance Stroll up next, who's only 2.3 seconds ahead, and by the end of lap 29 that's only 1.7. And as we head on to lap 31, that's 9 tenths, and we're now inside the DRS range of him, so we're going to try and put a move on him very shortly. I think had we been doing the one stop and had the tyre wear to do the one stop, we would be around where Albon and Leclerc was, because it seemed like we were battling them this race. But we've had to do the 2 stop, and that has given us fastest lap, but it has cost us a few points. And we're going to go to the outside of Lance Stroll, we're going to receive the space there. We did have to go onto the curb though, so if any of you debating that Albon-Hamilton incident, we had to go onto the curb, which Albon decided not to do. So we were probably smarter than him there. We overtake Latifi for lapping him, so the Williams car's still not on the pace. But as we head to the end of each lap, we were catching Perez at this point, but I knew it wasn't going to be enough. At the end of lap 34, the gap was still 3.2 seconds, so I just decided to give up on trying to catch him. I think had he done the softer hard strategy, we would have definitely caught him. But he did softer mediums, which meant he had more in the tank. Better grip on tyres, but we'll come around the final corner. Valtteri Bottas wins the Grand Prix, and we'll take P8 with fastest lap, so 5 points. So, a decent result there. Gasly wins driver of the day, but I think he started last, so just made up a few positions.
Here's how things look in the drivers' table. More points for Valtteri Bottas, further solidifying his lead at the top of the table. Some amazing talents out on the track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
That's got to be the Flying Finn. Wait, how many Flying Fins have we had now? Anyway, I'm talking about Bottas this time. Just great raw speed. And a good job in traffic as well.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action. I can't wait to see what's next.
So Valtteri Bottas wins the Grand Prix. Hamilton is in P2 despite starting from pole. So bad race for Hamilton. Verstappen takes P3. So that was a good race, good recovery after being behind us at one point. Leclerc takes P4. Albon P5. Yet again, Vettel goes for the 2-stop and ends up P6. Perez takes P7. We take P8 at fastest lap. Stroll takes P9 and Raikkonen rounds off the points. Good race for Alfa Romeos, who managed to gain quite a few positions on their starting grid. And not a good race for Ricciardo. You'll see the Renaults were just directly behind the Alfa Romeos. Carlos Sainz was then the next car, so he must have had a decent race considering he was knocked out in Q1. Our teammate Jack Aitken ended up in P18, which wasn't that good of a result. And considering our contract negotiations with him are going to be next race, then we need to hope he needs to step up his game, especially for the rest of the season. As you saw, Norris was the only DNF, and both Williams cars got lapped. In the championship standings, we stay in P7, lose a bit of gap to Alex Albon, but not much changes there. And in the constructors, we stay P4, lose a bit of points to Racing Point, but no team changes anywhere. Haas and Williams are still yet to score, so they'll probably both be hoping that they can score at some point in the future. We extend our lead in the rivalry over Daniel Ricciardo, so we're now 19-9 ahead. Obviously it's a first to 30. And in our team acclaim, we don't go up any levels. We're level 7 as a driver, Jack Aitken's level 6, and we're level 9 as a team. So that's good news for us. But our cash, we've completed both the goals, so we get an extra 440,000, and that puts us up to, I think it's 6 mil or something like that. It's 7.26 mil. But I'm going to leave the episode there, so I'll see you guys next time for the British Grand Prix.